This is Robert Clotworthy, the narrator of The Curse of Oak Island, and I have a question for you. Could it be that you are listening to The Curse of Oak Island and Beyond live stream?
This is a top pocket find, mate, for sure.
Hey everybody, Jeff here with The Curse of Oak Island and Beyond live stream, and I got a full house tonight. I got Colin Jameson and Dale Carney, and of course John Edwards here with us tonight. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Tell you what, we are going to have some fun tonight. But before we get started with last night's episode, we're going to go over, if you haven't been on our Facebook page and realize that we are going to do the drawing tonight for, I guess some people didn't want we had some winners and they didn't want it. I mean, what's up with that, Dale?
I have no idea.
Well, they didn't want
this chance.
They didn't want this hat that's going to be worth $1 million. I mean, come on.
I have no idea, but I'm just going to go with the flow. Somebody's winning it tonight for sure.
All right. Well, hopefully it's me, but if it's one of as long as it's somebody from our group or that watches the show, that would make me happy right there for sure. But of course, I wouldn't mind having it. I mean, just saying.
And once I draw, I'm going to email them and tell them that they won.
Yep.
So I'm going to send it through the way when they donated, they got a message back saying that we got their donation, yada yada yada, and I'll message them through there. So check your email if you're watching.
Yes.
If your name pops up or something like that, just to let me know.
Yep. All right. So before we get to that, real quick, I just want to say thanks for everybody that's showing up here tonight. Man, we got a full house already. Tara and we got Jan and Linda, and also Tom Burns out there working tonight. He's out there working and welcome aboard, Tom Burns. We appreciate you helping out Linda Simpson and Jan Anderson doing their hard work in the chats on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook and all of that. Thank you so much for doing that. And if you're out there on the YouTube side, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell. So that way, when we have new content coming on. And if you would, give us a thumbs up. If you like the content of our show, if you like what we're doing here, give us a thumbs up. It kind of helps us know and gauge what's going on. So we really appreciate that a lot. Honestly, really do. Thank you for that. And if you want to help support the show, we also have our Patreon channel, which is patreon.com. And then, of course, JFree906. So I tell you what, I was really happy to have two people now tonight. We got two guys from Nova Scotia here. It's awesome to do that because the insight that they give us, that local insight that John and I don't have, it's just you can't ask for more. And I really appreciate you guys being here tonight. So without further ado, Dale, let's do some drawing, man. Let's get those.
That's what I'm talking about.
We're going to do the t-shirt.
Yeah.
We're going to see it's got
the Mug and Anchor t-shirt.
Nice. Come on.
It's a large, so
okay, we're doing that one first. The Mug and Anchor t-shirt. Here it goes.
Let's go.
I'm not looking. I'm just going to draw random names.
Look at all those ballots in there. I hope there's like
come on.
Over 2,000. Okay, so the winner of the t-shirt is, I got to write her name. I can't make up my writing, so hang on.
Yes.
Carol Lawless.
Carol Lawless. All right. Carol Lawless. All right. So let's find out. Hopefully, Carol, I think I've seen
watching or sees this.
Carol got the shirt. All right. So Carol Lawless, if you're not watching tonight, you'll get an indication that
you're going to get a message short.
Good job.
That you have won that. Janet's got her fingers crossed over here. So does a lot of people there. Paula Mason's out there.
Like John holding up for the hat.
Next one is the Mug and Anchor hat.
Okay, Mug and Anchor hat's going next, the blue one. All right.
It's got our flag, our province flag on it. So we'll do this one, the blue one.
Come on.
Again, back of the box.
Come on.
This one. Okay.
All right, let's see what we got on this one. Who's this one going to be?
Judy. Hang on, I got to write her name in here. Judy. It is Judy. Let's say Judy Stump.
Judy Stump. All right. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Judy Stump.
So Judy Stump, you got a blue hat.
Judy Stump. All right. Linda says Carol is not in our group, so Carol, you're going to have fun finding Carol. All right, but and again, what are we going to give a time limit on if they don't?
We're gonna do another. We're gonna do a week again.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the fairest way to do it. I'll email them twice, and if I don't hear back, I guess next week I'll be on again.
All right, sounds good. Now the red
one.
hat. All right, the red one.
All right.
I wish I had a drum roll. I need a drum roll.
Come on.
Jeff Freeman. Oh, well, I'm sorry.
I can't make my writing. I write so bad.
Oh, Tara says red is her favorite color. All right, so
Barbara Forrester.
Barbara Forrester. I don't know that one.
Hmm.
Oh, now Linda, Barbara Forrester. Okay. All right. Now Linda says Judy Stump is in our group.
Nice.
So that's good. I'm glad that somebody in our group won something. That's great. All right.
So Barbara Forrester.
Jeff, what do you say? You had 20,000 members now?
20. We got like almost 20,000. I have to look and see what the official count is.
Here we go.
Oh man, here we
Come
go.
on. Come on.
Breathe deep, John. Breathe deep.
This is $1 million.
Okay.
Oh man, you better.
I gotta show you there's nothing in my hands.
All right, nothing in the hands. All right, he's digging deep, digging deep. Tracy says, "Pick me."
I'm half scared to see if John actually wins it. I'm
He'll
worried.
probably just fall over in his chair.
I know.
He'll be out for the rest of the night.
Kelly public cover.
Kelly public cover.
Oh.
Wow, a public cover. All right. I wonder if she's
Would
related
that be
to
a
our-
Western Shore public cover?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. All right. So I'm waiting for Linda. Linda's doing a search real quick to see if anybody is in our group that just won those. So we know that she said that. What did I just say? Judy Stump is in our group. So Judy.
So we got one winner.
Let's see. All the ladies win tonight. Yeah, I know. I saw that, huh? Related to Karen? We don't know if she's related to Karen or Shannon. We'll find out.
Well, I think
Linda
John's
says
actually
Kelly
shed a tear there.
is not in our group. So, all right.
So we got
well,
one person. We got one person in your group.
Yep, one person in the group. And if we find out that she doesn't claim it, she's got till next week to claim the hat. If she doesn't do it, we're gonna go again until somebody claims it.
Somebody's
And
got to
then
take
if- Huh?
Somebody's got to take this hat.
Well, if it gets to December 4th, and well, wait, we're almost there, aren't we? I was going to say, if nobody gets it on the next one, you just give it to me. I'll just display it.
I was going to say if nobody takes it by the 4th, I'll sell it.
Shannon public cover says no relation to me. All right.
Okay. So this
So-
is still up.
Yeah. I
And-
don't know.
Barbara or Carol Lawless.
Carol Lawless. Yep.
If anybody knows her, she's got a T-shirt.
Man, oh man. All right. Well, I missed out again. All right. Well, that's all right. That's
Wow.
okay.
You might have a third chance.
Might get another chance.
Well,
We don't
there
know.
is another chance, right? They'll come in
But
up with
what I'm
the
going to
auction.
do is, if there's a third chance, I'm not going to take donations for it. I'm just going to use the existing ballots.
But you have an
I'm not
auction
gonna add
coming
any
up.
more to it. What's that?
You have an auction coming up, correct?
Yep. Right
The
there.
auction is on Saturday, and
That's
the
what I
yellow hat is up for auction.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm.
think the starting bid. Give me 1 second. I go on the page and find out. The starting bid on the yellow hat is $250. So
All right.
basically, what they do on Christmas Daddies is from 11 to 5, you have to bid on the hat. Highest bidder at 5 o'clock takes it. So if it goes for $500, it goes for $500.
Yeah,
That's
send me a
great.
picture of that hat. I'm going to Photoshop it and put it on my head and Photoshop it right on my head.
That's awesome.
I'll wear that hat one way or another, won't I? All right. That's pretty funny, Indy. Thank you.
I'm going to wear this.
Yep. Isn't that awesome? That's an awesome hat right there. Man, oh man. All right. Well,
There it is.
all right. We got to, yeah, we can do now. Watch. You just gave Linda something to think about. Linda and Jan are going to do something evil. You watch. They're going to do that. They're going to Photoshop that hat and it's going to be all over our Facebook page. You watch.
It'd be your Christmas card.
Oh my, yeah. Yeah, be my Christmas card. Oh my goodness. This is gonna turn out bad. I
That's
can tell
awesome.
already.
That's so awesome.
Oh yeah. All right. So we need to get started with the show here. Kim Palmer. I haven't seen that name. Hi Kim. How you doing? Tom Burns working, of course. Janet is with us. Tara's here. Oh man, a lot of people. D Jones, Houston, Texas. Dave. Oh man, the Awoken One in his antics, of course. Kate's here with us. Kate, just thank you very much, Kate. That was very nice of you. I appreciate your helping out the show like you have. That was really nice. Let's see who else we got over here. Tracy. EADS. Eads. I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name. I'm sorry, Tracy, but welcome. Thank you for coming. All right. So we are going to roll on with the show. Yeah, check out that fancy phone. Well, when I put the phone number up with the banner, it always would cover up somebody down there in the bottom. So, we thought we had to do something when I got a picture up, right? So, yeah, so Jan made that real quick. I don't know if you guys can read that number, and the phone is on, by the way. So, we're ready to go with that. Oh, it's ringing. Is it? No? Oh, it's just giving me messages. That's what it is. Text messages from. Oh, it's spam. Okay, that's nice. All right, we're not going to be taking that one. All right, let's get started with the show. All right, season 9, episode number 5, hatching the plan. Now, I seen some people were out complaining about the show last night, but you know what? I think they're all pretty good. They did. I will say that they did kind of. When they do the promotions for the show, they do have to throw some stuff out there, to make sure they can keep up people watching the show. And I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that. Now somebody is calling. All right, let's find out who this is. Hopefully this thing will work tonight. Hello? Uh-oh. Yeah, we are. Hang on one second. It's not showing up here. Hold on. Hang on a second. I got to get you on here. Connecting. I thought it was connected already, but apparently it was not. Hold on. I'm sorry. Bear with me just a second. All right. Hold on. I should have been ready, folks. I'm sorry. Hang on one second here. I'll get this gentleman on the line with us.
Technical difficulty.
Yeah, I know. I thought I had it all set up, and it was actually connected to my other phone. All right. Let me try this again. All right. How about now? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I have to turn that down just a little bit. Who are we talking to?
Jim Roberts down in sunny Florida by Tampa.
Oh, all right. How you doing, Jim?
We're doing good. How's the weather up there?
Well, right now it's pretty well. I think we're about at 42 degrees here in Western Pennsylvania.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So
yeah, we love the show. We've been hooked on it ever since it started.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, they got to put bits out there to keep people interested.
Yeah.
But I think these Laguna guys are doing one hell of a job.
Oh, I agree. I definitely agree with you on that for sure. Yeah, they have to do what they can to keep people watching the show. And we saw it last year when they had the brass knob that everybody thought was gold, and we were all getting all hyped up about that last season. And it turned out to be a brass knob. So they have to do that now and then just to kind of build the hype. And everybody does that. So I don't hold that against them.
Yeah. I kind of disagree with them stepping in and stopping, looking on the stone road there,
Well,
I mean, they own the property. I mean, I just think it's ridiculous. But they're.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a drawback, but in the end, I think we kind of talked about that quite a bit when we did the show right there the night after, and it's something that I think really it could work out to be a benefit because we were discussing this with Colin and I and Dale and John, that the fact that you do want to have that connection between the Mi'kmaq people, the First Nation people, and who may have come over to the island back then. And if you can start tying this stuff together, and you have to give them their due respect. I mean, who was the first ones in this entire area?
Yeah.
So we were, was it a bit of a drawback? Yeah. But I think in the end, it's going to turn out to be a benefit for everyone, I believe. That's my opinion. What do you guys think?
I hope so.
I do too.
I would hate to see big government step in and, put a halt to everything, especially after everything that these guys have invested. And they've shown they're not in it just for the treasure, that is
Mhm.
possibly there.
Yep.
They're in there for the history, and
Yes.
that's what intrigues me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you on that for sure.
Yeah.
And that's the who, what, why, where, and when. I think that,
Yeah.
and the possibility, like, John has mentioned here before, the possibility of changing North American history by what they find, I think is phenomenal. I
Okay.
really do.
Yeah.
And Jeff,
Yeah,
and you don't make it this. Go ahead.
No, I just think the Knights Templar thing really has me intrigued.
Yep.
And I was going to say, if you're Templars or Age of Exploration or French English
Well,
explorers,
I'm not, but just the history in there.
Yeah.
I mean, when they found that cross, and then they went over to France and seen that down in the jail
Yep,
where the
yep.
Templars were. I mean, oh my God!
Dome
You
France.
know?
Yep.
It's
And you
like,
do.
okay, guys, we're getting closer. We're getting closer.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I don't think the reality is it never
You guys
really.
doing a great job, Derek. Keep it up, and we'll keep watching.
All right. Well, thank you very
Okay,
much.
Thank
for
you so
calling in.
much.
You're
And
quite
Jeff,
welcome.
I think the caller makes an excellent
Bye-bye.
point, but we
Bye-bye.
don't.
Go ahead,
we
Colin.
don't. Go ahead, Colin.
No, I was going to say, I said that at the end, it didn't really slow things down. I mean, we got to see, we were all kind of watching throughout the year from, a lot of local people and what was going on, and nothing really stopped from, the swamp, and they continue working in it.
Mhm.
And to your point, Jeff, and I know we talked about it in depth, I think it's uber important that the First Nations involvement, because I think I'm with you, John, and I think we're on the same team. I'm on Team Templar, and there's, whoever it was, they all interacted with their Aboriginal people, and I think I think this year the findings are really starting to tie everything together. I think the story is coming to. I don't want to say it's coming to an end, because it'd be kind of sad if I almost don't want it to end, but it's getting close.
It's getting
I know.
close.
I know. Hang on one second. I'm going to say it.
And to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, Colin, I've had a bit of a shift in my own theory now. Templars were ended in 1313, 1312, 1307 at the desolation of the Templars. So for me now, it's not the Templars, as whoever the Templars would have rebranded themselves as. It was the same organization, but Court, Lindell, and I have gone back and forth, and I said, Court, you're right. The Templars were never on Oak Island. It was whoever was post 1307. Whatever the Templars became were on Oak Island, or whoever it was, somewhere.
Right.
And, so was it Templar related, or was it the redefined, rebranded Templars? I think that's who it was.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the Templars coming to the New World, certainly would be a rebranded cause, but, John Sinclair and there's no, in my opinion, I think history shows it's fact. These guys landed in Nova Scotia. There's interactions on Nova Scotia.
Correct.
And I think they brought a lot of, because that's kind of the interesting thing when you go from, the engineering, the technology that they would have needed, who would have brought that stuff along?
Yeah. And
Masons,
you have John, Masons. You have John Cabot in the area. You have Verrazano in the area. You have Drake in the area. You have, other explorers. It's about a month travel from Europe to Nova Scotia. I mean, Cartier says it in Jean-Jacques Cartier says it in his documents, about a 22-day travel with good winds.
Yep.
So it's not far. So we had a lot of interest in the area, and there was a lot of resources, because at this point, Europe was tapped of resources. The New World has a ton of resources and gold.
And gold. Yeah.
And gold.
We know how much they were after that back then, don't we?
Absolutely. So
for sure.
Yep. Big deal.
Yeah. So, and then, like you said, we've mentioned it before too, that, if you're going to leave and run, you're going to be on the run because they're hunting you guys down and you come over to a new world or somewhere else. You're not going to come over and say, hey, here we are. We're the Templars. We're over here now. Come over here and get us. You're going to rebrand. Exactly.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's exactly what happened there. So, all right.
Okay.
Let's jump into it, or we're never going to get to All right, I am going to get things rolling here with me and my many pictures. All right, so there we go. There's our shot of Oak Island in the misty clouds there overhead. And we jump off immediately in the war room, and finally, we're getting the teams together with the equipment to start talking about the caissons. And there we got David Irving from Irving Equipment Company. And then we got their team up here, and Marty, of course. And dun, 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 dun. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. I got to get my Rock Equipment Company hat on. There we go. All right. And look at that. Look at that, right? Whoops. Wrong side? Oh, it's this side. Yeah, that side right there. Dun, 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 dun. Vanessa Lucido. She is now on the screen anyway, not on the island yet, but she's on the screen. So, yeah, happy to see Vanessa and David there, because they are going to be very, very important coming up. Yeah, Deidre says, Vanessa, yes, and yeah, we like her a lot. She's a great friend of the show. And to do something like this, I'll tell you. Anyway, so we got Vanessa, and then, of course, their team, and they're going to be looking into this area right here. Now, as you guys know, they've been working very, very hard to try to nail down where to put these caissons. I think they were talking 4 or so, right? Is that what they were?
I said 4 last night. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, so if they're going to have 4 caissons, and they want to be sure where they're going to put them down, and as you heard Rick say on the show last night, that they haven't at that point that where, you know, of course this was last year, and we don't know it was in July or whenever, but they hadn't really nailed down exactly where they want these 4 to go yet. They know that they're going to be generally at least 1 or 2 of them are going to be in this general area right here, because these are the boreholes where they have brought up not only the water samples showing gold and silver, but also they brought up some of the metal with
Didn't
gold.
he say they knew where they were going to put 2 of them?
I
He
wasn't.
said that last night.
Did he? Did he say that last night? He might
He
have.
said something like they know where they can put 2 of them, but they don't know where. Oh, I might be mistaken.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I heard Rick saying he wasn't sure, but yet, and that's why they needed, I think, 4 to 6 weeks. I think they were talking before they get ready to start sinking these things.
Tom Burns said they did mention 2.
Oh, did they? Okay, thanks, Tom. Yeah, okay. So, you know, it's going to have to be right in this area, because, of course, this is where they were figuring, and this is a picture that they showed last night. That'll be in that general area. So,
like I said, the boys earlier, Steve Guplo, I think, had pinged into one of the previous shows here and said that they had done over 300. I think it was between 300 to 400 pilot holes just this summer alone to try to narrow down the exact spot they were going to put this massive case on.
Right. Yep. Let's see. All right. So that's where they're going to be nailing them down there, because they were calling this the C1 cluster. As they were poking holes in over here. Yeah, 300 to 400, or 400 and something. Yeah, that they poked in around. It's amazing. Swiss cheese. And I threw this picture in here because Rick had made a comment about how the 10-foot can is bigger than 10X was, or is. It's bigger than 10X. And I thought 10X was, I don't know, train cars. I know they were tanker cars on the train, but I don't know just how big they actually are. But apparently these 10-foot caissons are bigger. And it took them how many years? He had mentioned this on the show. I forget what he said, but it said, they can put down, 4 or 5 cans in a summer. It took them a couple of years, I think, several years to put this one can with this one. Look at that's the difference in the technology, right? And the equipment.
Well, I mean, they're being put in by hand, those.
Yeah.
Pretty much. There's a machine that just drills them right in.
Yeah. Pretty much by hand. You're exactly right, Dale. Thank you.
And then they chimed in 10 years to put the cans in.
Yeah.
With Dan.
Okay.
That's a long time.
And they did it, and we put one in weeks.
Yeah, exactly. In a couple weeks. That's crazy. But I had to throw that picture in there, just show the effort and the man hours and the blood, sweat, and tears that went into putting in one can that deep. And it's just remarkable to me, and I'll just say this and we'll move on, but it's remarkable to me that Dan Blankenship was able to know that there was a cavity up there on the hill. Now, this is back behind, up on the hill to the north of the money pit area. And yet he knew, using his divining rods, he knew that there was a cavity down below. And he was bound and determined to get to it. And he did. And that just, to me, that's to go off on that faith of those divining rods. I've seen them used on TV shows, movies, things like that. Never seen that. Have any of you guys seen using those in person?
No.
No. And not only to put the can in, but he went and put a wetsuit on and went down the can himself. Like, borderline crazy. Like, that's
Talk about a man with a determination to get to the literally get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Wow. And he knew though, but he knew it was down there, and it's just amazing to me that
seems to me, Jeff, he used them on one of the episodes, did he not, to dig in the bald spot? I want to say he used the divining rods, and we saw him go.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, you're right. He did.
Yep.
Yeah, one of the IDKs that we were doing. Yeah, he did. He went around with divining rods and found some other spots that he drilled on. Just amazing. Dowsing rods are common used for water well finding. They must be natural. He must be a natural dowser. Yeah, that was Barbara Duncan. Thank you, Barbara. Yep. You're right. Yeah. Deidre says, what does she say? They are often used to find good locations for wells on property. Yeah. I've never seen it done, but man, who ever figured that out? I mean, who's the guy that actually figured that out for the first time? That, look at these two, like either the rods that cross, or even they would take the stick. Wasn't it an actual
fold down? Yeah.
And it would bend toward the water source as they walked over it. They had to hold it, I think, like this with their hands backwards, and then it would bend down and point it.
That's
how
amazing.
Somebody ever figured that out, I have no idea. It goes way beyond my ability of understanding that technology for sure. So anyway, so I had to show the picture of that there. And moving on, now we jump over to the Dunfield spoils that are just, I guess, as Dunfield. And again, you think, why did he end up with so many spoils? He dug out this 100-foot in diameter, 144 or 140 foot deep hole in the ground, his big dig that he did. And then when he filled it back in, but he had all these spoils. Well, I figured, well, you push it all back in the hole, but he had a spoils pile, and he actually pushed them toward the south shore and let them pile up there, I guess, right?
Yep.
And that's exactly, now this is the road here. You go off on this direction here to the right, and you're heading down toward around the road following the bottom of the swamp.
Yeah.
And so this is right in between the two roads that come up to the money pit, obviously. And so that's where they're digging in this spoils pile. They were digging over here. Now they've moved over to this side, and they're digging over there. And I noticed this right here. Did you guys see this right here? Now we know that the stone triangle was obliterated, but I guess they're kind of saying this is about where it was.
Yeah.
And what was that? You and I talked about that, John. What was your take on that whole thing? What do you think that was supposed to be?
Oh, the stone triangle itself. I actually I think it was pointing. There's one that's due north, and there's one that's pointing towards the money pit. And so I think it is. Actually, I think it's a marine sextant. I think it's a way of if you align it right, and the way that one line goes to the center of the sextant, it actually would, if you align it right, it points to the pole star, Polaris. It's used for navigation.
Right.
So,
and it was a little off center too, wasn't that line in the middle a little off center?
If you hold a marine sextant where it's off center like that, and it comes down, that exact measurement is where the pole star is located in the sky. Yep. So that's to me what it meant.
Yep.
I think it's navigational.
And it was pointing to the money pit, telling them where it was.
It was pointing to the money pit.
Yep.
The other thing that Charles said on tour was originally it had a cross, like a Christian cross, at the very top of that particular. Yeah. He goes, I haven't put it on there yet. And he was going to put it on there when I was on the tour. But he said there needs to be a cross at the very top because the keystone at the very top had a cross on it, which I thought was interesting as well.
Wow.
Now, immediately I thought, what was that referring to, Cygnus and the whole cross in the sky? Is that what that's referring to? I don't know, but it was just interesting.
That was Janet there. So yes, John, it's like a compass.
Yep. Sure is.
All right, so that's the overview of where they're digging. And I threw this old picture in there too. That just kind of gets a look at the size of the hole that Dunfield was digging right there. 100 foot across and 140 feet deep. And remember too, as we talk about this, that it was a funnel shape or cone shape. It was a funnel. He did not dig it.
He wasn't after history. He was after treasure. That was
I was
it.
going to say it was not an archaeological dig, that's for sure.
Nope, that was just a pure treasure digging excursion.
Yep. Yeah, we kind of labeled him Dunfield the Destroyer. I know that some of the guys on the island, when I've had him on like Laird and that, they kind of back off from that a little bit and give him a little bit of kudos for what he was doing. But he thought he knew where it was, and he was bound and determined to get down there and find it. But he was unable to. But as we go along here, did he or did he not? Maybe he actually found something. So we'll see. As we go along here, we'll find out just exactly as the show progresses. Okay, so now we got Billy over there. That's Billy, and then of course you got Rick and Gary down there, and of course Jack Begley, and Gary's doing his metal detecting in the hole. And they find this chunk of iron. I don't know what this thing was, but they were talking about how heavy it was. So they found this one chunk of iron first. And they were handing it around. Of course, it's well encrusted. We don't really know exactly what it was. And then they come across this beam. And after messing around with it a little bit, now they were getting metal detection hits on this thing. And so they wrestled it around and finally got it up out of the ground. And got a look at it, a little closer look at it. Now, this particular one had these pins in it.
Cribbing spikes in it.
Cribbing spikes. Yep. And which is what we'll get to that a little bit later when Carmen got to the island. But yeah, so it had one right there, and then it had one up here. Now, I don't know, does the cribbing spike kind of help give it a date? I don't think they really talked about it on the show last night.
I never said anything.
No.
About a date, but it's definitely going to make it a little.
They can date the wood.
Yeah, they can definitely date the wood. But that was something that they were talking about, the fact that with these spikes in there, they can definitely get a closer date of when this was constructed by the spikes and the wood itself.
Well, how they were cut and the dowel setup on how the timbers were put together is super old.
Yep.
They're talking like 1500s type technology.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And then we get to see Jack Begley actually running Gary's equipment here. I'm assuming this is Gary's equipment. And he's got Jack is using it there to do a little metal detecting. And then he found one. Now he had a hit. And so he had Billy reach over with the excavator and start digging around, and he pulls out this timber. Now, this timber did not have any metal spikes in it at all, but it had a hole right here for a dowel rod to be driven in there to hold it together. Now, that's the one I think goes back to the 1500s, or at least they had said that wooden dowel rods have been used throughout Europe since the 15th century. So it goes way back when that actually could have been found. So when they get this thing, this is what I was talking about, the Dunfield spoils. When you pull up pieces like this, and it'll be interesting to see what the date of this thing was. I mean, does that not make it a possibility now that you can date that? And if it dates in the right period, that would have been possibly be depositor, right?
Yep. Well, what was on the previous week was 1488 that the pieces of wood that they were pulling up, they were dating from. So it was prior to 1500.
Right. Yeah. The caissons will be placed where the metal fragments and wood dating back as early as 1488. Yep.
And what was, John, what's the Christopher Columbus? What's the year?
1492.
1492.
So.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jeff Irving was just talking about that.
And sailed first, I believe he sailed for the Spanish, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Even though he was of Italian origin, and and Vatican relations there. So it's kind of interesting.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Deidre. A big Lincoln log. It looks just like a Lincoln log, the way it's cut out there. Oh, we're getting another call here. All right, let's grab this one real quick.
Okay.
Hello, who we got here on the phone?
You got Robot from TreasureNet. I'd like to talk with Jeff.
This is Jeff. Go ahead.
Hey, Jeff. It's Robot from TreasureNet, and I'd like to point out a few areas where I think need to be discussed.
Okay. What's that?
I would like to talk about Zena's map, about the Thunderbolts, and I'd like to talk about the measurements of the wood that's coming up.
Oh, okay. Well, you talking about like the piece of wood that we're talking about right now?
Yes, that piece of wood there, that's a complete piece of wood. Measurements might determine whether it's English, French, Spanish, or Portuguese.
Ah, interesting. Now, you have some kind of literature that helps with that, or that you know of?
Yes, I do. I have a thread on TreasureNet, about 500,000 views, and I've done reports on this, investigations on this, and it's interesting that they've never really determined who the depositors were by determining the measurements on Oak Island.
Now, what's your take on the dowel? The dowels being used versus steel cribbing spikes?
That I haven't. That's got to be revealed, I think. I do not have a conclusion on that at this point. But Zena's map, which is being discussed right now, I'd like to know how they determine these thunderbolts. If you look at the map.
Well, I'll tell you what. Hey, hold off on before you get to that, because we're going to get there in just a minute. All right. Okay. As soon as we get there, we'll discuss that a little heavier, if you don't mind. All right. So
no problem.
yeah. So let me continue on here. We'll get to that point here in just a moment. All right. So they found this piece of wood here, which is, like I said, with the dowel rods and the cutout and everything. So this can help, again, date whether or not it is an actual something from a depositor. And it also alludes to the fact that maybe Robert Dunfield was hitting the mark. Maybe he had hit the mark. If he's pulling this up and it turns out that it's dates to a time like late 1400s, early 1500s, I mean, does that not say that he hit the mark?
Almost. Jeff,
he might, but what's really interesting, and I'm looking at it right now, that piece of wood is a complete piece of wood. And what it indicates is measurement. And measurement during that time period, the Portuguese had their own measurement, the Spanish had their own measurement, the French, the foot on the Oro de Gold was their own measurement. So this has a precise measurement. It's a complete piece of wood.
Yeah.
And it will reveal who cut that wood, just like if you found a American car buried 1,000 years from now, it would have standard bolts in that, whereas the Japanese would have metric bolts in it. You can determine who buried that car and what that car came from.
Right. What were you going to say, John?
No, I was going to add the cribbing spike is also used for subterranean mines. It's a lot of times it's used for roof support. So it's just kind of interesting that the cribbing spikes are also used in mining.
Be interested to see where they can, if they can track where these timbers were downed. Because I mean, just to, you think in today's day and age to go cut a tree and mill it and do this stuff, you got to remember back then, this is an island by itself. So, that size timber, was it downed on the island and milled and cut? Or was that tree downed somewhere else and brought to the island so that supplies were being brought for tunneling, mining, support structures? I'd be more curious to see, and I'm sure they could probably tell where that wood is from. I'm guessing. I think that would answer a lot of questions. Was it come from the mainland and someone, they were cutting it inland somewhere?
To Nova Scotia.
Yeah, and bring it in, or to your point, or was the stuff that was actually shipped in? I mean, that would be like
that's a game changer,
mind blowing. Yeah, it would be.
As
far as the scale,
or is it parts of old ships?
Or
yeah, very well, could be.
Right.
It
But I
might be
think
the ship that's partly left in the swamp.
yeah, the origins of it would be very interesting. So I think like in really early shows, they were talking about locating on different the oak trees. I think there were some old oak trees and where exactly that they came from and so forth. So the technology is there. Be interested to see if they do that with some of these beams, because I think that's a great idea if it would indicate who actually milled and did those beams.
Yep. And that's the thing about it. You know, we talk about this on the show all the time, is that, oh, they found another piece of wood. Oh, big deal. Another piece of wood. No, this wood tells a story. It really does. Yeah. And you've heard Marty even say it. Oh, another piece of wood, you know, find something else. But it does tell a story. If you can get it dated, if you can go through all that stuff, it will tell a story. It just like, I've forgotten your name on the phone. What was your first name again?
Well, I go by Robot. I go by Robot because I have
Robot. Yes. Sorry. Yep. Yeah. I've seen you over on YouTube.
TreasureNet, you'll see my threads and that. And I've dealt with this for 10 years. I've been doing this for 30 years. And I believe I have a theory which solves the Oak Island treasure. And I've been posting this, and I have over 500,000 views of people who are coming along line.
Cool. All right, let's move along here. I was going to put up
Jeff, we might have to have this gentleman back for an IDK at some point.
You know what? I think that's a great idea. I was just thinking the same thing. IDK, we do our IDK shows, which is where we can drill down on particular things and spend more time on it. You know, on this recap show, we're kind of skimming over the last night's show, so we're going to try to keep moving along here. But I did want to mention a couple of things that let's see. David Gustafson said, do you think that with the broad circumference of Dunfield's cone-shaped dig, wouldn't it be difficult to find the shaft timbers? Yeah. Difficult not to find the shaft timbers? Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
Certainly would have wrecked a lot of material, but the guys this year seem to be indicating a lot of the new drilling that they're finding materials is in undisturbed land, which kind of fell outside. It's like you said, he started at 100 feet wide at the top,
right?
But the deeper they dug, it kept kind of funneling in. So it really reduced the area around. So as they're digging, 75, 85, 90 feet where they're finding this material outside, probably fell outside of the Dunfield triangle or cone.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, exactly. And they were following when they were getting that 87, 88 feet, and they kept hitting wood as they went along. Yeah. That's exactly, they were following a tunnel or shaft of some sort. It wasn't going to be that couldn't be your money pit shaft going vertically because they were following it going horizontally. Yes. So it had to be some sort of a tunnel, like they were saying. And I think they were absolutely right. And it was outside of that cone shape area. So
that's right. And I'm a big believer, for whatever it's worth, of that, because the different heights, because the island is at, the shore is at sea level. Certainly as they dug some of these deeper holes, it's below sea level, hence where you're seeing 10X and so forth filling up with someone mentioned on about 10X being full of seawater, salt water. And hence the whole, where is the actual I'll say treasure chamber or deposit chamber, whatever's in there, is probably above sea level.
Right.
So it's the chamber went down, you had your flood tunnels connecting to it, and you had to go down without triggering the flood tunnel and then go back up to it. So hence, I think why they're tracking, here's where the tunnel is going to, because that's where your source is. It's not the super deep was
one of the very important things I posted on my thread had to do with the money pit itself, in that when the discoverers found the money pit, they claimed that it was easy to dig down. And so if this is an ancient money pit, the roots of those trees, I've done a study on this on my thread, would have gone into the money pit by then if it was old. And they would be constantly cutting through roots to get down to each 10 layers of this money pit. So it doesn't make sense that the money pit is that old.
Well, maybe. I don't know. We'll find out as we go
Well,
along.
science shows that they would have roots growing 10 inches each year, and by the time the original depositors vacated the money pit, these roots would have come into the money pit, and when they were digging down, and it was easy digging down, they stated, because it was undisturbed ground, they would have to have cut through roots, and it does not make sense.
Yep. All right. You know what? I was going to say too that this might, like I said, I could see where we could have a good IDK with you, Robot, at some point. So we may have to have you call back in at that time. It's because I could see us where we have an opportunity to go down some rabbit holes.
Sure. Give me a PM, and it's Robot, ROBOT, at oakisland.co. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's Robot at Oak Island Online. oakislandonline.co.
Okay, got it. All right.
Yep, give me a PO and we can. I've got some great stuff just recently revealed from all over with your people. So give me a call and we can discuss this.
Sounds good. All right, I'll be in touch.
Awesome.
Great.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Now, so as we keep going here, he also had, he went back after he found his piece of wood, and then he was trying to figure out where he was getting these hits from. So he went back over and got looking at it a little bit, and he came across this big chunk of iron here, which we figure is another cribbing spike of some sort, right? Is that what they were kind of figuring?
Yeah.
And I got to turn you back up there a little bit. There we go. But it really encrusted there and covered quite a bit. So the neat thing, as they were wrapping up, and we're going to stay with the dunfield spoils here until we finish up this area, but and the neat thing is at the end they came across, they kept working and they came across this layer of stone at the bottom. And what does this stone remind you of? I mean, where
Cobblestone pathway.
The stone pathway, exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean, there they are all laid out. And this was that picture that they had shown. And this is one that I think it was Henry DeWitt had actually shown this to me some time ago. It was months and months ago. Go ahead.
That was on the show before.
Yeah, they showed it on the show here a week or so ago.
No, before that, I believe.
This is one of the old photographs that was from the I don't know who is this, the Turo? Was this the Turo company's work? I think.
So, wonder what year that would have been taken in.
I don't know. I don't remember. Henry might. I don't. He might be working tonight. I know he was.
It's a super interesting picture.
Yeah, it really is.
Photo.
Because they're right on top of the money pit shaft, or real close to it, right here with the shack or this tunneling apparatus they got right here. But you can see that stone road running right along. And I think that Jan says 1930s. She thinks it's 1930s. Thank you, Jan. So if that's true, and then you've seen this road here, this would have been covered up by the Dunfield spoils. Now this is going down the hill towards the South Shore, being right here, and he would have pushed his spoils over here, which is covering it up, which is now probably where they are digging down to and just hit these stones. So it looks like they found that road. Maybe it looks like it is anyway, which is another good point to find out. Then he brought over Steve Guptill, and of course he went in there to take some GPS readings of the actual stone level so he could see what the elevation was on them, as well as try to get some sort of an orientation.
They were at grass level, he said.
The what?
They were at grass level, he said, when they were
yes.
When he was looking at it. He said there's a layer of grass.
Yep. Yeah, that was pretty interesting as well. So they knew they kind of hit the bottom of it. Yeah.
You note that picture from the 30s, not a lot of trees that are even on that section of the island, eh?
No.
Like it's a fairly barren. piece of
And
what's the game.
that's what Jim McQuiston said over here too. Early records say that there were only a few saplings and bushes on the top of the money pit. Professional arborists told the Laginas that the pit would have had to be dug sometime in the 1600s, or the saplings would have been trees.
That's right.
So good point, Jim. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. So yeah, that's Barbara Wright said they, in all fairness, Dunfield didn't have the money, time, or resources to do a proper big dig. That's true. Yeah. So that's why he just got in there and had at it with what he had. I mean, you can't,
because even with the Oak Island Tour Company with Rick and Marty, I mean, it's Laird Nevin has not been around since the very beginning.
True.
And the guys had started out as a tour company and, certainly putting their efforts into the money pit. And I think as they were starting to realize there's more and more into it, they really took a good historical or archaeological approach to it, which is fantastic, which I think is going to help actually answer the questions of what's going on.
Yep, exactly right. So anyway, they got some good looks there, and so we'll find out when he gets them revealed. They didn't actually get back to us. He said he was going to head off to the research center and get this all put together and find the orientation and whatnot. That hopefully we'll hear about that probably next week, I would imagine. And then they brought the team over to get a good look at the road as well. So we got Ian Spooner and Rick and Marty, of course, and looks like Craig back there and Alex Lagina. And Ian jumped right in there to get a look at that, and he's like, "Yep, this is the same material makeup as the stone road." So I pretty well nailed down that picture showing it from the 1930s is in fact the stone road heading that direction. So that ties it in to say, now, why would they have a stone road? Again, this begs this question. Why would this old stone road be there going from the swamp at the landing or way at the swamp leading up to the money pit? Why would they need one back?
And here's when they get the official age of what the actual stone roadway is. I mean, there was certainly a lot of British encampments, in the late years in the 1700s is going on, and what would they have brought with them? Everything, right? They would have had to have all their equipment. They probably would have had some, I'm assuming, defense weapons, i.e. old cannons and stuff. They would have been dragging up over the hill for their encampment because at the time, who else was going to be patrolling the waters? Lots of bad guys and the French, but they would have had to protect themselves against. So, I mean, it's
absolutely
makes sense.
You're not going to drag that through the woods.
No. And we know there was cannons on the island. I mean, there was, all, and we know the military was there, like you said, the British and the French, and they are definitely going to want to protect, because I guess the British came in and pitched out the French, and the French came in, and I don't know the history of it all. I'm sure John and you guys do, Colin and Dale, know more about that history than I do, but we know it had changed hands a few times over the years. And so, they were going to try to protect each other.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Next, we jump over to the research center, and they're going to take a look at what we thought. We got Carmen Legg showing up on the island, the Oxman.
There he is.
There he is, the Oxman, and Master Blacksmith. And, it's fun. We had him on the show last year. This year was early. Well, actually, it was. I think it was December or January of last year. We had him on. Great. It was a great time. That video is out on YouTube, and it's also in our Facebook group that we had with a good time with Carmen. He dropped out a couple of times because he had a bad internet connection, but he is due to come back. We were scheduled with the 18th, but I think we've had to postpone that. He had an issue that we may have to postpone that particular having him come on again, because we certainly want to have him come back. He's a great guy, and we just enjoy what he has to say. And his blue blue Corvette thing. The blue Corvette, drove that sweet blue Corvette across the causeway like he owned it. That was
I noticed they stopped captioning him too. Whenever he talked, they used to put a caption on the bottom what he's saying.
So you could understand. I understood what he was saying.
I understood perfectly, but
absolutely.
I don't know. They stopped doing that.
Yeah. So, but they brought Carmen out, and they with Gary and Marty, they wanted to get a look at what we thought and what they had said initially might be an actual chisel, a point chisel for doing, putting letters or drawings on a rock or the side of a rock wall or something like that. It's kind of what we were thinking, and he comes out, no, this is another cribbing spike, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So, and he was talking about the grain, and this is so cool. And that's how they can look at the age of things, is by looking at that graining inside the steel. That's just, or the iron. And you see how it's squared off. I had noticed this before, how it's squared off down here at the bottom. That's really interesting. So he set them straight on that. And what that was, they thought it was a chisel, but it's not. It turns out it's a cribbing spike. So. So we were happy to see him out there, and I guess he's been on the island several times over the course of last summer. So we'll see more of Carmen as we go along. Now we jump over to the money pit for just a quick shot. They didn't spend much time at the money pit this time. Over here, you got the Dunfield spoils where he pushed them all over here. Yeah. Deidre said, "I'm glad they stopped putting captions on them." Yep, and. So over here, now they're working in this E1.5, right there in the C1 cluster of holes. And they brought up another sample to get a good look at. And Scott Barlow was there, and he gave us a little bit of a description of this piece of wood that they found, which I thought was really cool. This one right here. He was talking about the different saw cut pattern in this and how it would go one direction and then change and go a different direction for the pull back of the saw. So down one way and up another way. And he gave us a quick little brief description of a saw type that would do that kind of a cut. He called it a pit saw. And so they had a couple pictures here that somebody had drawn over the years of a pit saw. This shows a guy standing up on top of the pit, handling the top end of the saw. And actually cutting down right down through a timber, cutting it into, other timbers or, posts or whatever. And on the bottom would be another guy if they needed it, depending upon the size of the wood and everything and the type makeup of the wood. You'd have a guy on the bottom running the bottom half of it. So he'd pull down and then he'd go back up. And that's where you get that change in the saw pattern as it went along, as Scott Barlow had described to us. So I thought that was really neat. I didn't know much about a pit saw. When he first said it, I was like, what did he call it? A pit saw. Have you ever heard of that before? Any guys?
I haven't, but again, earlier, we mentioned earlier about this, where the wood and stuff came from, the trees. I mean, you got to think. So we know that they dug a hole. There's at least a hole that went, 185 feet deep. It would have been reinforced with wood. How much wood would have taken to to cut, mill, and put just to encase, I don't know, a 6x6 foot hole in the ground for 180 odd feet? Did the stuff all come from Oak Island itself? That's the other gentleman that was on saying, well, there would have been roots and so forth, but was a lot of the stuff, was the island clear cut just in this process itself?
Maybe. Very well could be. Yeah. Sue Jameson asks, what is the dimensions of the grid squares in the C1 cluster? I think it's 5 feet. Is it 5 feet?
I think it's 5 feet as well.
5 feet.
Yeah, 5 foot squares.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, Jim. Oh, this is from Jim. He said, the first time I met Carmen was at the Oak Island Resort. He picked a pickup pulled up, and then a Corvette, and I was sure it was Carmen, but in the truck. But when he got out, he climbed out of the Corvette. Really surprising. Yeah, I thought that was really cool. But we saw that license plate. Karen Public Cover had taken that picture of him driving across, or the blue Corvette driving across the island. And as soon as we saw that license plate, we knew who it was, Oxman. We knew who that was right away. As soon as we saw it, Linda and I were like, oh, that's got to be Carmen. So. And she wants to go get a ride. I think she wants to go and get a ride in his Corvette around the island, or up to the island. That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? So anyway, there's our pit saw. So that was pretty cool. Next, we jump over to the war room. And this is where things really start to get pretty interesting. And this is kind of what Robot was alluding to there too. So we got Matt Sand. Thank you. I want to pronounce that correctly. Linda and everybody knows that I botch people's names all so often. But they get over here now. His thing was to work with the late Zena Helprin's map, and there's a picture of her. Great lady. And then what was so cool is that how she donated all of her stuff to Rick Lagina, which just phenomenal that he ended up with all of her research. That's yeah, that's crazy. Now, this was her map. Now, we know that this map, I guess we were talking about it in the pre-show meeting a little bit, kind of discussing, where the map came from. And you've heard Marty mention before that he always says Zena's map, if true.
Yes.
He always says that when he's talking about the map. So Zena's map, if true, could lead them into some different areas. Now, they did take this map over to France, didn't they? Didn't they take this over to the Rochefoucauld and have them look at it? Or was it the Rochefoucauld? I forget who it was that owned that castle they went over to. You guys remember? Anybody remember that?
Yeah, they brought it with them. They brought it. It's on the map, the name.
Yeah, the Rochefoucauld right here.
Rochefoucauld, yes, correct.
They met a family member or something.
They kind of changed some of what it was translated. They kind of changed up a little bit of what it actually said. But before we get too deep into this, I wanted to bring up a point here. This right here, they keep calling this the 1347 map. And it's based on what this, and I don't read French, but if I remember correctly, they're basing the 1347 map. They're calling in that the date, and they're basing it off this right here that I guess translates to the date 1347.
Yeah.
And so, I'm a little curious about that because it's pointing, and this was the robot was talking about those lightning bolts. It's pointing down right here. So you got this line and it's pointing down here, and this is off Isaac's Point. Colin, what is that? What island would that be?
It's Frog Island, and just got me thinking just when you put that up. See that island, that picture almost shows like two pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, currently,
interesting.
Frog Island is, I don't know the extended history of it, but currently it's privately owned. They have done an unbelievable job in reinforcing. It's got a full reinforced seawall all the way around Frog Island. But the very front where that smaller little round piece is, where the kind of the bolts pointing to.
Oh,
now
yeah.
The owner of the island has a huge, big, like a marine wood wall reinforced with rocks. Like that front point has all deteriorated and gone. So it would be interesting, and it would make sense. It's kind of cool. Maybe if you're in Nova Scotia next year, Jeff will take you out and show you. But the front side of Frog Island is all eroded away. So maybe there was another smaller island or piece of land that was there that has just simply gone away over the last number, which would not, that would not be surprising, especially when you actually see the Frog Island in person. Now, and it's not, I got to say, it's actually shockingly, it's certainly not to scale the island itself.
Right.
It certainly does have a little bit of a cove, but it's interesting.
Yeah. So 1347, I mean, John, you kind of work with numbers. What do you think about that? What's your take?
Well, my initial reaction is this is not a date. I mean, and I'll tell you why. One of the major things that was going on in Europe during the time was the Black Death. The dates of the Black Death are 1347 to 1351, and knocked out up to 50 million people. I can't imagine any major expeditions from Europe to this area during that time. Okay, with the Black Death. I mean, you're talking 2 out of 3 were dying, basically, during the Black Death. So, in my mind, it might be coded in the line of thought of what Jake Roberts does. There's something more to it. I can't ascribe a date to it. So my mind immediately goes, what are the alternative theories about the date of 1347? Yeah. But definitely not a date for me. I mean, especially with the Black Plague being in full swing during that time.
I'm personally super skeptical about the map.
Yeah. Well, So is Marty.
I just am. I don't know.
Yeah. You know, supposedly it was found. What was the name of the guy, John?
Don Rue. And
Don
Cortland
Rue.
Dell and I have gone back and forth on the authenticity of the map.
Yeah.
So it's an anomaly. It's an unknown. But yeah, I'm very skeptical.
Yeah.
And the 1347 just doesn't jive with anything that I know of.
Anyway, I know I took us down a little bit of a rabbit hole
No.
there, but I just had to bring that up because they keep calling it the 1347 map, and yet I don't. Why would it be a date and it pointing to something? And I caught this last night, and it's like they're talking about these lightning bolts here that are all pointing to something up here in this section. So why wouldn't this be? Why 1347 and pointing to this? So I don't know. We'll see.
And Jeff, can you go down to the bottom right?
The bottom right.
There's also an unknown symbol to the bottom right. Just an unknown. There's a little fish sitting there. Not sure if you see that. There's a little fish symbol sitting there. No one knows what it is. It's just kind of sitting out there. So I just wanted to kind of put that on the radar a bit. Maybe there's something to that.
Yeah. All right, you're gonna have to. You and Jake Roberts talk about this. All right, you guys can work. I know you can do it. The two of you.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna ask Jake about the 1347.
Yeah, see what his take on that. It just hit me last night as they were talking about this. I'm like, wait a minute, that's underlined and it's pointing at something. So I don't know. Anyway, I know I took us down a rabbit hole, folks. I'm sorry about that, but
no, definitely not a date for me.
Yeah, me either. I don't know, but anyway. As we move along. Okay, so this gentleman that was out there, and this was the Matt Sent, was talking about the fact that they were misinterpreting some of the wording on here, or if I go back here, you can see how this lightning bolt points to something right here. This lightning bolt points back up here to this spot here. So is this word la trappe, and I'm not saying that correctly, I know, but is this the trap or the hatch? Is this pointing to, is this part of this or is it part of this? And they were calling it something separate, a separate place. And that's what he was pointing out. It is not, it's part of this first section.
Yeah, they're saying it was all one.
Yeah. So he's calling it, well, see, it's the hole here under the hatch, and then the valve. And I think there's even, let's see. Whoop, no, that's not it.
That's a long distance. Like, I don't know. I'm super skeptical about this map.
Yeah, I know. So
I think they should date the original.
Huh? Date the original. Yeah, if they can. I don't know if the original is authentic. Yeah. So he was talking about this being the hatch over here, and then the hole under being over here, and the valve, so this was a little bit different take on the whole thing. So they were really interested in finding more about this. And of course, this is going to be covering basically this section of the island right off the causeway and over here. And look right there. That's probably Colin's boat right over there. Colin Jameson right there. That's probably Colin's boat.
That's a good chance.
Yeah, it's a good chance. That's Colin's boat over there. Because he's leaving the swamp area. He just took those pictures for us of the swamp. And is this Frog Island? Is this it over here?
Yep.
All right, cool.
Yep.
All right. So anyway, that's what he was saying. The hole under, and of course the hatch right here. So that got them talking about the fact that they needed to get out there and have a look at this whole area and see just what this is all about. So go ahead.
No, as I say, Tom had I think it was Tom put on there, someone did. So when it comes to Zena's map, what would be the advantage of the creator if it's fake?
Nothing. I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's a good talking point.
Yeah.
Story, there's a million theories out there. That's someone trying to create their own little theory with what's going on.
Yeah.
Trying to get some publicity.
Yeah. I don't know.
And I guess it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, wasn't it found like in the back of a book?
Back of a book.
And it was like underneath that one blank page, it's glued down.
Correct.
And it was supposedly found in the back. Now this LaRue, is that what
Don Rue.
Don Rue, in the story I had heard was that he was he was with Zena, and they were in Zena's house,
Mm-hmm.
and he had the book, or she had the book, and he was looking at the book, and he said, "Oh, what's this?" And he peels it open and takes that, and I guess, or with her right there,
Mm-hmm.
but removes this map that's folded up and put in there in the back of this book.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember what the book was. I forget now, but I think Rick has the book now.
Yes.
And it was taken out of there. So now, did he create it, and did he maybe have it? And he said, "Oh, look!" And all of a sudden he pulled it out like like it was in there, and it really wasn't. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Little sleight of hand trick.
Little sleight of hand trick. And you said something about Rue before, didn't you, John? You said he was.
Well, his background is a little suspicious. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Right. The other alternative, kind of something I've been working with Court a little bit is there a line of thought? Yeah, I always say, is there a line of thought? Is this some kind of hand-me-down esoteric, or some kind of society, or some kind of family knowledge that's been handed down? That's the other alternative. Is it something that wasn't meant to be found, or was exclusive to whoever owned the book? I'd be curious to know the line of ownership of the book.
Right.
Because when you understand the line of ownership, you understand the map and who could possibly put it there in context. And we don't have that at this point.
Well, hopefully someone in the group, somebody out there in your group knows.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah, like what was the deal with the book?
And I'm going to ask that question. Does anybody out there know what the book was?
That's a great side dish question.
Yeah, good side dish question. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, does anybody know what that book was, or what the name of it was? I'm sure it's been mentioned, but we might have to do a little research on that, and we'll do a little IDK, and we'll get Robot back. We'll just IDK the whole map and everything at on an IDK.
Maybe I'll talk to Court. Maybe he can appear on the IDK and talk about this.
Yes.
Court knows quite a bit, and we've gone back and forth on the authenticity of this. And it's still kind of an unknown for me, and Court's more along the lines as there might be less to it than what we think there is. But
someone
else just commented on there. Maybe it came from the back, like it was a map in the back of the book.
Yeah,
like with the book itself.
I don't know.
Because
I
don't know.
Hidden under the back flap or whatever. That
it just seems kind of weird that it was hidden under a back flap of a book.
He
had all of a sudden and said, "Oh, look."
Yeah. If we knew what the book, Kate says, that's
a great call.
Yeah, we could date the glue that was used or anything like that and find out just when it was slipped in there. I mean, and it could have been put in many years after the map was created, if it was really created that long ago. Very true that, a lot of mystery to that whole thing. What's that?
Simple. If they could find the original map and just test it.
Mm-hmm.
Test the paper, test the ink, they'd be able to find that easily.
Right. The one area of interest for Matt, as he was talking about this when he was on video, was he was talking about this particular area, of course, the hole and the hatch. Very interested in these two places right here and how they're pointing. Now, keep an eye on this particular place or point right here. This right here, a strip of land you're seeing. I love how they superimposed this over that. I think that was great to do that. And you get a look at this. I think this is the Blankenship property right here. If I remember correctly, I think Dan and Dave's houses were over here, but, so this was the point of interest. And then they had, I was looking at this back here too. I'm thinking that, unless I know the guy who drew this, probably whipped it out real quick, but this is not in scale to the topography of the area. I don't think.
Yeah. I think the house, like his, kind of in the area of, I guess it's the basin. It's really where the house is, like way further down, middle right.
Oh, okay.
That's that area there. So it's just the work here where the
with all the buildings and stuff. Yeah, you're right. Thank you. Yeah, you're right. Where you first come in there, they've the welcome center and all that stuff over there. Yep, you're right.
Jeff, those two peninsulas do actually exist on the map.
Oh, do they?
Yes. I mean, it's not correct. I mean, it's not drawn correct, but the actual existence of the peninsulas is correct. The map is not even close to being drawn to scale.
Yeah. So you got the one here, which is where the
Yeah.
causeway comes across, and then you
Yeah.
got one over here, and
Yeah, it should not. It's not in the right places. There are 3 peninsulas in that bay area.
and keeping this in perspective with the date, if it is as old as it's supposed to be, or that it's brought up to be, again, we talk about the sea levels, a foot down, lower in sea level for every 100 years, maybe something like that. Is that about right, Colin? I think that's what Rick said, but I don't know. I mean,
I mean, it's there's a lot of erosion in these areas. I mean, this is very super exposed area. These islands are. It's going to certainly change. I mean, what it looked like 300 years ago to today is very different. But
yeah, I know that Linda was talking about this thing right here. Linda and Jan were discussing the angel or the angle. It's spelt wrong but again, they were talking about this particular thing. Again, it's going back to the interpretation of this whole thing. But again, keep an eye on this. This is their spot right here, because once we get over to the guys that were doing some scanning, they get a team out here. Okay, and there's the hatch again, under the hatch, the hole under the hatch, and then you got the valve, or and then we're going to jump over here. So then we got Doug and Craig, and they are out working with lot 22, which is going to be this lot. Well, I think it's one of these lots right up here where the zigzag is, right up in here. No, wait, I'm sorry. No, that's the lower numbers. It's down here. Lot 22 is on this side. And so they're working with these guys here. There's Daniel Bollet. I think that would how you pronounce that. CSR geophysicist. And then Taylor Pierce also out there. And those guys got some equipment. Yeah, here's 22 is on that side. And then you got, I think this is the Young property here. So they're going out with this really cool equipment. I was pretty fascinated by this apparatus that he wears, or they wear on their backs, and walk around taking these scans and looking for obviously looking for tunnels and anomalies under the ground, which I think is fascinating how this stuff can figure all that out. And they came up, here's another shot of them all standing around talking, and you see them wearing the apparatus there. Now, I thought they were only working around lots 4 and lots 22, were these two from diagonally of each other. I thought that was the case. But when we see a map, when they got together with Mitch here inside the war room and talked about it, here's one of the maps. This is the map of their scans. And look at all those lines. I mean, they basically covered the entire island, except for lot 5, which they're not allowed to because that belongs to the Young family. And this is the lot here that I was talking about. That would be the houses of the Blankenship lot, is it not?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
I mean, that's the parking lot right there.
Yeah,
right
the
at the causeway.
here.
And Dan's house is directly to the right of the parking lot.
Yeah,
right there. That's Dan's house.
That's Dan's, and then you got
Dave's
house up here, right?
Yep.
And then over here, you've got the Nolan property, which they stayed off of that, but they covered basically every other inch of this island with all these squiggly lines. And they came up with this right here. Now, this is really cool. Now, and folks, that I was trying to remember, and maybe somebody out there can help me with this, Linda or Jan or one of our the viewers that are watching right now. Jim McQuiston said Young's property is on lot 5. He died earlier this year. Yeah.
Yep, that's
now
correct.
It's locked up in a estate settlement right now. Yep. And so hopefully one day they'll have, who knows if they'll ever have access to it or not. Just like they with Nolan, and they're working things out with Fred Nolan at the end there before he passed. We'll see. But the curious thing about this is I thought they had said on the show last night, they had talked about the difference between the pink dots on here, circles, or the blue ones. Does anybody remember the difference between the two? Is it the depth?
I didn't hear them say anything.
Huh?
I didn't hear them say anything about it.
I can't remember. It just seemed like I thought I don't remember. I don't know.
I don't think they did.
Jan reports pink and blue were anomalies. Anywhere
Okay.
you see pink and blue. So the money pin area, there's anomalies. That's from all the digging, I'm sure.
Yeah. So would it? I guess it would be maybe a change in the density of the soil, or rocks. Like Colin, I think you mentioned earlier about rocks showing up. There's some,
Well, Nolan's Cross kind of points out there. I think John, you had mentioned. You
Yeah.
can see a couple of dots kind of line up. So
yeah,
I'm
like
just
right
wondering,
here.
some of the bigger granite rocks, are they showing up as pink as an anomaly? It's a really, I don't know. I can't make hide nor hair of the map.
Yeah.
Really.
The Nolan's Cross was interesting. And look, right in the center of the swamp, or towards the center of the swamp, Jeff, you see that with the purple, the dark pink purple?
Down here?
Right, yeah.
Oh.
What's going on in the swamp?
Mhm.
Isn't that where that ship anomaly was?
Yeah.
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 Switch to it.
Yeah. It's still showing a piece here and a piece down here and a piece here. And,
and
so
Nolan's Cross and Smith's Cove.
Yeah.
You know, look at the wedge shape and the finger
These
drains
ones, they were definitely doing pilot holes and digging. Like you can see in Smith's Cove, there's the little tiny pink spot. They did a pilot hole. They did a bunch of digging on the other end as well.
Yep.
And then, of course, in the money pit area, you can see where all the pink holes where they were digging. And even down at the it'd be the east corner of the swamp, you can see on the beach area that pink area.
Yep.
This is where they were digging.
Digging.
They had all that excavated all down in through there.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I don't really understand what the purpose of the map is, because they already did. They did that huge sonic
the seismic testing.
Seismic testing, and they did basically the entire island. They did it, which that's what had showed up the ship anomaly showed in the swamp from that. So I don't know what they would find differently in this particular one, but the map that they show in the show doesn't really answer a lot of things. Because even Isaac's Point right to the end is blue, which is
kind of weird.
Weird, because they really, other than, they certainly did some work over the last year or two in extending the seawall along there, but they really haven't been digging or anything.
Right. Yeah. Deidre said it would be really interesting to compare this map with the VLF survey when they finish processing it. Yes, it
I
was.
was just about to say, they mentioned that last night that they hadn't finished processing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is just a
and I
raw
thought this
data
was.
form.
Hey, Jeff, can you do me a favor? Can you take your cursor and just point out to everyone where the stone road goes approximately?
The old section was right here.
Yes.
Yeah, it started. Here's the big. Well, actually, it's kind of light colored right here, where the big stone road was here, the platform,
and it heads what direction? Based on
this one went up this way towards Nolan's property up here. Well, this is all Nolan's property
towards the eye of the swamp, and then the other
one went this way.
Right to where all the anomaly.
Yep, right over to here.
Yeah.
So it came right across here, like that.
Right there.
And then you got this. I saw this, and I was wondering what this was all about.
And that's almost linear as well.
Yeah, it's a straight line of holes or anomalies. And I thought, what in the world is happening right there?
Wow.
And all this going on over here. That's another big area where I thought, I think the mound that they found early last season was over here in this area. So that might be part of the mound.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a serpent mound.
Yeah.
Same shape. It's yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where that was. That's where that serpent mound was.
Yeah. Yep.
This would be around 10x right here, I think. I think that's either that or this one would be where.
I think that's more like where 10x is. Yeah, right.
Probably right here. Yeah, where all the roads are kind of leading in, or the shadowy area. But I thought this was cool right here too. The swamp area right here.
Yep, and Nolan's Cross.
And Nolan's Cross being pointed out. Yep.
Not by coincidence. Trust me. Jeff, you and I have that theory.
Right. And you see the two areas they did not go. It didn't show up on here at all. But now we're going to jump over to this next picture here. I'm going to pop
Interesting.
And right here. This is the one where they were curious about this being where the hatch shows up. And again, you got blue and you got the pink. And I guess they said the map, the magnetic imaging they did around the whole island. The VLF is not back yet. No, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have the magnetic imaging and the VLF.
So are they implying that there's a tunnel starting from there going across the island?
Or a hole or a pit or some change in the density of the soil there that and if you go back, that was the interesting thing. And here I'm going to pop through these pictures real quick. I hate doing this because it's hard on people's eyes, but if we go back right here, see now that's here's the Blankenship property right here, I believe.
I bet it's an old well.
And right there.
That's
come on, don't blow our spirit.
I don't know. That's a weird one.
Yeah, and I'm gonna flip back here, try not to go too fast. Right there. Well, let me back up one, because there it is. So there's that right there, and that is the spot.
That's the spot.
Hurts my brain.
So you can't really dismiss the map at this point. You really want to, but when anomalies start to correlate with what's on the map, like I said, it could be passed down knowledge.
It's true. It hurts my soul a little bit.
But, I think this is knowledge that's been passed down, which would always lead me to believe crown time. Perfect.
Ray D, it's crown time. Yeah.
Jeff, I've always thought if there's more than one version of this map out there, it would come off the same source material. I really think the map was scribbled down at a high rate of speed, not very accurate, but accurate enough. And there's some source material out there that it would all come off of. It's written in French, So
something, dig it up, take a look.
Yeah.
It's the only way they're going to find out.
Yeah,
is to go to it and dig.
Yep.
Let's see. Robert Young. Okay, so has a website with all of his finds. Yeah, he does. Fred Nolan sold him that lot. Yeah, he did. And everything that hand tools he owns. And yep.
There was a story in the Chronicle Herald about him a couple of years ago.
Really?
With all the stuff that he's found. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know he had a website. And he found some a stone that looked like it had like threads on the stone. It had these lines going around.
A bunch of pictures on his website, an awful lot of them.
Yeah. He's got some cool stuff. He really does. Yeah. But again, you look at some of these other anomalies, and I dare not go flipping through the pages of the map, all these pictures again, but I should have put these two back to back so we could flip between them. But going between Zena's map and this map, because I think that some of these other points that are like down here are on Zena's map as well.
I noticed last night that as soon as this map that you're showing now come up, Jack Bagley got really excited about that spot where the hatch is.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he noticed it right away, and he zoomed on that.
Yep.
There's got to be something to that.
I think there is. I mean,
I think you're going to see something coming up that they're going to dig.
You have to. You have to go dig. You have to go dig that spot. I mean,
100%.
Yeah, when you got all these things, you got the Zena's map and you got this right here, all pointing to the spot. I mean, if you didn't go dig, that'd be stupid. You got to go dig it.
Oh yeah, I think you're going to see in the next couple episodes that they're going to be digging there.
I know they kind of alluded to it on the commercial, and that's what I was talking about earlier. They said, they're showing, they showed this part first, and they're, look at this, the hatch, and that. Then they show them digging and pulling out a log, and you're like, well, they found a log in the hatch. No, the log was out of dunfield spoils.
And then everything on the hatch.
What a tease, So Prometheus, you're teasing us again. Yeah, we know.
This is interesting.
But it really, really is, and I think that's not going to be the end of this. They have to.
It piqued way too much interest last night with them all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think it's something that's going to be very explored very, very soon.
Mm-hmm. They have to, and I think that some of these other points of interest have to be looked at as. They really do. Oh, here it is. Here. So here's the overlay that I was going to try to find. So there's the hatch or the valve. They're calling it the valve here or whatever. The hole under the hatch here. So, and let's see, I'm going to look and see.
Steve Guptill, didn't he say last night they were like 10 feet away from that? Or like 10 feet away from the road or 10 feet away from the spot that's marked on the map?
Yep.
Yeah.
From the road. It's right off the road, he said.
Yeah, it's like 10 feet from where it's marked on the original on the map that they had. Like Zena's map, they said it was like 10 feet from that spot.
The
So it was very
Earth's
close.
vaulted bay. But all over here, you got the anchors up here. The dam, okay, that's all in this area. The basin, that's all in this area. What's this one here? The December Triangle?
The December Triangle.
Right
I seen that
there.
movie.
So that would be just away from the end of this. That's Nolan's property right here. So I'm going to go back and look at the. So that would be right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be
Interesting.
right in that area. So, I mean, there's other points that they got to check out. I mean, come on. They can't let that go, right? Anyway, so really cool. I thought this was the highlight, in my opinion. Not only the and I was again. I was just reading what Linda was saying there, but not only did they have the wood that I thought was interesting in the Dunfield spoils, because it could lead to the fact that they were initially, maybe that Dunfield did. Maybe if those date back to the time of like the 1500s, that big beam that he found. Does that mean that maybe Dunfield did actually hit part of the original timbers or one, from the money pit?
I think no matter what, he certainly hit some original pieces. There's no question. But
I think so
it's
too.
just the theory of, is it straight up and down, or is it down with an offshoot?
I'm going with that one again. I really am. I'm going with that, because you think about even animals. When animals do a hole underground, don't they go down and then back up for their den? So their den would be up on a little bit so that any rainwater or anything that came in went down and then didn't flood.
Yeah, we had discussed that, Jeff. I think last week, where you have to put it above sea level. You have to put it so the water doesn't get to the chamber wherever it is, so you can go down and then back up.
Yeah, it totally makes sense with the whole, because there is water passages running from Smith's Cove with the coconut fibers. I mean, those are all facts.
Yep. Yeah.
I think that was certainly designed to fill up that.
And why would they want to destroy what their treasure is with water?
Well, that's just it. But that's why I think it's an offshoot. You have to go down and then go up.
Yeah, it's the same as a pyramid inside, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same thing.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to bring up. Let's see. I had that picture. Yeah, right here it is. Let me bring this up real quick. And this makes absolute sense to me, like you were just saying, Colin. Right there.
Yeah.
And so if it floods up to this level, even up to this level right here, then that's fine, because it's not going to reach this point.
Colin, to your point a couple of weeks ago, and I did a little bit of research into this. You see how those layers are intervaled like that? That was very commiserate of how they did mining as well.
Yes.
Okay, so you would build the platform, and then you would stretch out your mine shafts, and then build another platform, and there would have been something in between, so you can get between the two platforms. So the money pit, how it was built, is very commiserate. 1500, 1600, 17, how they did mines.
That's right.
So
to stop it, because what was happening at Dunfield is, as they were digging, it kept on falling in. So if they built those platforms, it stabilizes it, and then you can kind of go down over, dig the next one, platform, stabilize it, and keep on.
So it would explain, if it is an ancient mine, which you have brought up before, it would explain why there's so many offshoots from the original money pit area. And there was actually gold found on Oak Island. That's kind of a alternative theory, but it makes perfect sense. And I'm not precluding that is not possible as well with the hidden chamber up there.
Yeah,
as part of that.
And as Marty had said on the show, if this is the case, that means they all missed it, because they were all looking over here.
That's right.
And not way over to the right or to the left, which would kind of lead into what Aaron Hilton was saying, wasn't it?
But this was the first time ever since, I think, was it the Truro Company that had pulled material out?
Yes.
This year that they actually had pulled, metal that definitely has some type of gold material on it.
And cement.
Cement.
So I mean, it is very different, and I certainly think the water testing has narrowed down. I think because what we see in the show is is a very small piece of like it sticks in my head so much. And they said they dug 400 pilot holes this year, 400. How many did we actually see in the show?
10.
Yeah, a couple, right?
Right.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff going on in the background that we just don't see. And I think even Matt Blake had one of the, I don't know, top 10 things that you never saw on the show type of thing. So there's a lot of things that are going on in the background. And anyway, I think this year that's what they were able to narrow it down immensely. Hence, I think it's going to be very exciting in the next number of episodes as they get into the whole caisson and what comes out of that is going to be,
Yeah, Dave's mentioned this right here, and I think that's a good point, Dave. Maybe that is why Dan dug that over there. I think Dan was looking for a different way into the money pit, was his original thinking, but maybe he was looking for some sort of a...
But when they did the sonar scans, it looked like there was a shaft going into Dan's cavern and then a shaft going away from Dan's cavern. And there was supposedly, wood found down there and other things, which would be, again, commiserate of a mining operation or tunneling. A lot of tunneling happened. And you have to ask yourself, why so much tunneling? If it was just a treasure, it should be put in one place. But there are tunnels all over the area and in the money pit area.
And there was stuff moving. It was a few years ago. Remember they had I think he actually put a modern day coin.
A toonie,
It moves like 6 feet.
Yeah, and had migrated over and they had pulled it out of another
Sure.
spot. So, it goes to show you the amount of instability, the amount of, there's certainly a lot of water intrusion there that's moving stuff around deeply. But I think that everyone's starting to push towards is now they're digging deep under sea level. It's above sea level. It's somewhere. Yeah.
I always wonder, like, why wouldn't they build it above sea level? They wouldn't want their treasure to get ruined with the water.
Exactly.
It's got to be above sea level.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Again, goes back to so many different theories of was it actually even to bury treasure there? I think was there a lot of different? There's certainly a lot of different activities on the island. Was an actual mining operation there at one point in time?
There was a mining lease.
That's right. And then, was there a separate episode of someone actually, flukishly happened to bury something on the island as well?
And Colin, if you think about it, if there was a treasure buried there, they would have used mining techniques. So you knew to make sure that the whole thing didn't collapse. So I'm not saying that it's not mining. I'm not saying it is, but the techniques would have been the same in either case, whether it's mining or burying a treasure. And it matches.
The main big hole they did a few years ago was 185 feet. That they found human bones and the material in. So anyway, my mind melts just from the fact of no matter who it was, go dig 185-foot hole on an island in Nova Scotia. I'm telling you, it's the rockiest, roughest, crappiest thing. I couldn't dig a 5-foot hole in my backyard. Never mind I'm going to go dory into the island, dig a 185-foot hole in the ground. Like it's crazy.
And it's rocky down there.
Yeah. We always talk about where do they get all the rocks for building that road and all that stuff. I mean, it's like, could there be really that many on the? Could it be? There are that many on the island?
There's a bazillion rocks. If things are known for Nova Scotia, we got lots of rocks.
And Colin, to your point, they've never followed up on those bone fragments. And if I remember correctly, one was European and one was from the Middle East, right?
One was a male, one was a female.
Yeah.
So
it's hard on the head.
It is. That's for sure. That was Dave Petrella said that anything besides gold, I would say, seawater would not be good.
No.
Right. Seawater would destroy just about anything. Gold, I think it would be fine down there. But seawater would definitely destroy anything. And it just makes total sense. If you think about it, as we all just talked about, you put the actual chamber up above the sea level. And that way, if your booby traps go off, with your flood tunnels, yeah, it keeps people from getting down there, right? It keeps everybody out, but it
Your
doesn't
stuff's not
feel
ruined.
right.
Unless you know the secret backdoor passage, which
Yes,
again, is it
there
the hatch,
has
is it
to
the
be a
valve,
back
is it the
door.
and it seems like a very it's I don't know why the word possibly had a romantic thing with Zena Helper's map that that's almost like a magical key that joins it all together.
Mm-hmm.
And almost, is it real? Is it not? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But hopefully we'll find out. So, I mean, now that, and I heard, like I said, I heard Marty mention that talking about, and several have talked about it now over the course of the latter part of last season and this season here, talking about this offshoot, and it makes total sense as we just described here.
Mm-hmm.
There may be more than one. There might be
That's a great
couple.
possibility.
And it also begs the fact that maybe everybody is missing the mark. Everybody's looking in the wrong place because they're all trying to go down the money pit, and the money pit may have just been the way out, or it may have been the chimney, like we talked about before.
It's like an elevator shaft.
The elevator shaft. It may have been where they lowered stuff down in there with, if there really was a block and tackle in a tree, which I still don't buy that whole deal.
Yeah.
Right,
That's how they load miners up and down there, and you could have stopped at a specific level and then gone to the offshoots. There could be a lot more down there than could be imagined.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what they need to do is go, if they find it, then but once you put that caisson down through there, you're going to be blocking all those shafts off that go off in every different direction. You're not going to see them because you're inside the casing and you can't see those offshoots. So how do you put a can down there and not find it? Speaking of can, before we go, now we're an hour and 42 minutes into this, and I wanted to show these real quick. Colin sent me these pictures before we went live tonight, and I wanted to show them really quick, and we'll wrap it up here, folks. But now the point, they were in the beginning of the show. We had Vanessa and everybody in there talking about getting these cans going. And we thought, well, now they were talking about maybe putting 4 in. Okay, they had an area for 2. How many did they really get in last season? And Rick had said something to Marty. I thought I wrote it down, but he said something about if you plan for 4, but if you hit it on the first one, then the other 3 are redundant, right? You don't need them. Right? If you hit it. So Colin sent some pictures. If I can find, here they are. Let's see the first one, and you'll have to remind us on the dates here, Colin, because you had said I can look at your text.
Maybe I'll bring up the feed as you're going.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring up this. I think this was the first one.
So
and
that
you
was
see there's no activity.
June 20th is when that picture was taken.
Okay. So June 20th, there was they weren't even digging over here in the Dunfield spoils, of which would have been right on the other side of these bushes right here. Just on the other side of right up this hill. Actually, you see that sign. You could see that sign when they were digging. That sign was right behind. They were right behind it, right over here.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's that one. All right. So I got to do this delicately here, so I don't kill everybody with this jumping around. And then there was. Okay, this was the drill rig working up there.
So that would have been July 24th. Is when they started doing some of the pilot holes. They started in the late, very end of July.
Yep. Yep. So nothing happened in there. They're still doing their pilot holes, looking for something. Yeah. And let's see. And then boom.
So that would have been that's in the 1st of October.
Okay.
So a can never even went into the ground. So I think it was like the end of September, middle of September, they started bringing out the big crane and getting ready. They didn't start dropping a can until the first couple of days of October. And they were wrapping up. The can was now out of sight. Whatever was in the ground was in the ground. By October 23rd, they were wrapping up and dismantling everything.
That's this one here.
Yeah. So, I mean, they only ran that for about 3 weeks.
So, what does that tell us? Did they have time to put down more than one, or did they put down one
or did they only need one?
You're right.
Well, they only need one.
Yeah, and I remember some of the other, which I know it's getting late. There was another photo because when we were doing the cans, they had a bunch of them stacked on the side.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then when you watch the timeline, they were there as if they were prepped and ready to do more. And then they just simply didn't. It appeared as if they just put one, and the can is massive.
There they are right there. There's all
Yeah.
bunch of them laying back here.
Yeah. And then they kind of put the one can in. And from what I can tell, it's only one, unless they put two like really, really close to each other. But it seemed like there was only one big deep can that they put in there.
And the weather was perfect until like 2 weeks ago here in Nova Scotia. So, I mean, they had every opportunity to work straight through it.
Yeah, well, the fall was super good. Yeah, to your point, it was really good until October. But by the end of October, it started getting rainy and windy, and we started getting some
weather. But still, that wouldn't stop them from putting more in. So
that's right. And
maybe
then
they only needed one.
Then on Facebook post even this morning, the guys were out on the island. So they're still the cans and the equipment are gone, but they're still out there doing stuff even this late in the year, and that's very unusual.
Yeah, we saw a post from Steve Guptill this morning, showing he was on the island still. It's like, what? I thought they were gone. I thought everybody was out of there already.
Wow, which leads you to believe that something was discovered.
Right. That's where I'm heading with it. Yeah, that's what I want to believe anyway. They put in one and done, like Linda said, one and done.
Yeah,
one and done.
They only needed one.
There's Linda.
They found what they needed.
I think they hit the right spot this time. And I
think they've done enough research. Yeah, they've done enough research. Maybe they did, and they.
Well, it's the signs that went up. Remember, the signs went up. No trespass. I mean, there's this cone of silence that went over the island for about 4 or 5 weeks. Remember that whole thing?
It was the first time this summer. It was late in the year. They had on the main drag going down.
Oak Island's closed.
The old highway. That they had the big neon glow sign saying it's closed. You're not, no public, no access. Which in previous years, not that you could really go out and drive around the island, but you could drive up to the causeway and get around. Now, I don't know if that's simply because there's lots of people that live on that road leading into Oak Island. We're either getting crazy from all the tourists and people driving trying to see, or it also does seem to indicate they wanted to kind of keep
everything
more people away. So it's kind of exciting. I'm excited to see.
Yeah. I think something was found major.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to find out, because if they had time, and I don't know the timeline of how long it takes to put a can in the ground, but I know it's a week or two to put one all the way down to 100 and some, at least a week for sure to get one down that far. They had time to do more than one. Is what my point is.
Yeah, I don't know how long it takes for them to put like that, the super big can and dig it out and do that stuff. I would suspect it's quite an undertaking to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, they were all set up to do 4 of them. That's the thing. They could have done them all, but I think they found something. I've been saying that from the start.
And based on our conversation, that would make a lot of sense, because if the money pit were to go down and then you're going back up, it would be much closer to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And the can would do it if you pierced it with a can.
Yeah.
They might have
because they might only dig it deep enough not to get to water level.
Correct.
And dug it out and to keep it dry. And because I mean, if they certainly did a huge undertaking with the sonic drill rig program. I mean, Craig Dester went in detail. I mean, they were literally like 1 foot, 2 feet, another one, and did hundreds of them. And then, of course, with the water isotope sampling, I mean, they really narrowed it down to literally a 10-foot area. And then you stuck a 10-foot caisson in it.
It could be right. Coleman might be right there. It said that's why they left that little one and done clip in the show. Maybe they were alluding to something.
Because that happened. They were doing it. And then the other interesting one that hasn't been shown in the show yet is when they were in the water just off the money pit on the south side of the island doing something. There's some connection from the money pit when they dug that caisson, they drilled lower in the water. There's all along that section, there was something very, very different going on this year. So
yeah. and we are going to find out what exactly that is. Hopefully, coming up really soon. I tell you what, it's so a lot of people kind of blew off the show last night. There was people, it was just a filler show. Well, there was some of that in there, I think, but man, I tell you what, I'm still very excited about the show last night and what they discovered and what they showed us anyway. And so I don't know. It alludes to more questions, but again, this one right here is another biggie. And I just
they left some Easter eggs in the show.
Always,
of course.
So. They don't do shows like that for no reason. I think
that's exactly right. So thank you for sharing these pictures again, Colin.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this year, I mean, there's certainly some. This is, in my opinion, some of the biggest finds I've had yet, because the Mi'kmaq artifacts. You know, they're finding a lot more artifacts in the stone pathway. They're finding metal with actual gold on it, with Spanish gold on it. I mean, boy, oh boy, I'll tell you, like, this has certainly been, for me, this has been the most exciting year, because now we've actually been finding stuff rather than, I got another piece of wood, I got another hawk shoe, and
we're 5 episodes in.
Well,
that's not going to be 24 or so, at least, probably, I would say.
24.
Are they taking a break at Christmas this year?
I think so. I don't know. They usually do. I think they skip a week.
Weekend episode, yeah.
And all local indications is that they have everything. With this summer, they had a lot of the stuff already pre-booked for next year locally for accommodations and getting stuff. So
I've heard that.
Yeah, so it seems like, the good news is there's definitely a next year, which is good. Definitely, I think there's something of super high value that we're going to find out this year, and then they'll be able to kind of extrapolate on that and following. It's all coming to a head.
It is.
Yeah, I think so. And again, it goes back to that whole thing of, boy, is the show going to be over? Are they going to find something? And then that's it. I think that even after they do discover something,
they got to have shows to show what they discovered.
Right. And then then you got to have the show, the after of leading to how, who, what, where. I mean, it'll go on for some time on. I think.
And then they got to do a show of getting the treasure out and showing what they got, and this is gonna go on for a long time.
But I think they need to do a show on the guys that do shows about the show, right?
That's really good.
Yes. Oh, indeed, it would be nice. All right, folks. Well, I'm going to wrap it up right there. And again, thank you guys so much, Colin and Dale and John Edwards. Thank you guys for being here with me tonight. I really like this platform. Now we've started doing this where we have more a guest on or co-host. I think it's fun because I enjoy and really appreciate the input from you guys very, very much. Rather than me up here just flapping my jaws for a couple of hours, I think it's nice to have you guys in here with us and talking about this. I really like this format. Jack stepped aside tonight for this. Jack will be back. We'll get Jack back in here. He's not going anywhere. He's definitely part of this show as well. So we'll definitely have him on here, and we're going to switch it up. We're going to switch it up and keep it interesting and keep it real as we go along here in the future. But again, thank you folks for being here with us tonight and watching. Richard Brooks. Okay, I know you. How you doing? I missed you if you were mentioning something there earlier. And again, I know I missed a lot of chat tonight, guys, but I really appreciate you all being there and giving us a lot of comment. 216 comments now just on the Facebook side. That's not counting what was on YouTube. Again, thank you very much for being here. You guys have a great rest of your week. And we have Lost Relics of the Knights Templar, Carl Cookson and Hamilton White this Saturday. 10 a.m. Eastern. That's going to be 11 o'clock for you guys up in Nova Scotia if you want to watch that show. Carl Cookson and Hamilton White with my special co-host Gretchen Cornwall is going to be here with me, and we are going to host them guys. It's going to be a fun time. We hope you're here with us Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll see you there. Good night, everybody. Have a great time. And that hat doesn't get picked up.
He's talking to John. He's talking.
Next week.
All right. Good night, everybody.